What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's been a long weekend, I think, for a lot of us since we just got started with the E3 festivities. We had EA Play on Saturday. We just recently had the Microsoft event, and now we're leading up to Bethesda as I'm recording this, and I will have those thoughts and impressions the following day, today. But right now, it's just been a big swarm of E3 stuff everywhere, and there is still quite a bit to go over, especially with the Microsoft conference, so let's get started here, guys. But the first bit of news to talk about right now is this interesting thing going on with Minecraft. Now, if you were following the Microsoft presentation, you saw that they're talking about Minecraft kind of becoming cross-platform with PC and even Nintendo Switch, which is interesting, but not Sony, and that kind of left a lot of people scratching their heads. And apparently there's some people at E3 who have confirmed that no, it's not coming to any of Sony's platforms in terms of cross-platform support, so you won't be able to play Switch with PlayStation 4, but you can on the other side with Windows, Xbox, and Switch, which is weird. I'm not really sure what's going on with Sony here. I figure that would have been something they would have jumped right in, because it's weird the way you look at Minecraft. You don't really look at that as a Microsoft run game, right? Because it's on all the platforms. It's on phones, it's on tablets, on everything, basically, at this point. And Microsoft does not treat it as a console exclusive. They could, and that technically could help push along Windows, even their Windows phones, and the Xbox, but they kept with their promise here and made sure it was still on all platforms with no questions asked. But it seems like Sony just doesn't want to play nice with it. I'm not sure. Maybe there were some other things. Maybe there's security issues they're not sure if they want to iron out first. There's also a good chance that Sony will announce that they will have cross-platform support down the road. I don't know why Sony is not playing nice here with Minecraft. That seems to be an easy one to do. Then everyone can play across all platforms. And it's weird because the game technically isn't even Sony's in terms of exclusivity or anything. So it's odd that they wouldn't want to just be like, yeah, cross-platform, let's do it. That's great. Because while Minecraft is popular, it's not like a big AAA title, like a Call of Duty or something. Weird here, but I do think that maybe Sony will eventually come to their senses or iron out whatever issue it is. We don't know the back end. Maybe there is a security issue they want to iron out before they say, yes, cross-platform, let's do it. I will keep an eye on this situation, though, and when we get an update, maybe even later on during E3, I'll make sure you guys hear about it. Real quick, let's talk about EA Play. And there was a bunch of stuff at EA Play, including, of course, all their sports titles were there. They even went over FIFA in a press release on the Switch. I did a video on that where it looks like they're going to have pretty much all the same features there. And they talk about a custom engine being designed for the Switch in terms of graphics and how the game runs. That seems weird, though, to have a custom engine. I almost think it's something to do like with the Ignite engine that is tweaked and molded for the Switch, in particular with the Tegra. But there have been off-screen screenshots that have come out of the Switch in handheld mode, and it looks good. It looks like FIFA. I mean, we need to see direct gameplay footage of it that's taken with a capture card. But so far, so good with FIFA. I'm very happy because it sounds like everything will be there except for the Frostbite engine and the Journey, which, again, the Journey is something you play through probably once. It's definitely not something that's going to be used in, like, competitive FIFA or play online. Some people don't even touch it, to be honest. They just get on there and they just play FIFA like they have for years when they get the new version. But yeah, overall, EA Play was cool. We saw a lot of Battlefront 2 that a lot of people are excited for. All of our sports titles, and for the most part, Need for Speed, probably to me, I think was one of the best looking things there next to Battlefront 2, but I am a Star Wars fan, so I had to go with Battlefront 2 as my favorite game from that entire thing. And then they said we would see BioWare's new IP in action at Microsoft's event the next day, and we did. And with that, let's get into Microsoft's event, because man, this sent people a little crazier than I thought they would. There's a lot of stuff to cover here. It would be an enormous amount of time to spend doing this, so I'm going to go through a lot of the bullet points, talk about them, and I want to give my overall thoughts on this presentation, because it was big. It took up a good chunk of the day, obviously, in terms of discussions with everyone, Twitter, everything went crazy, but they brought more games than I thought they would. But here's the thing. They used this word exclusives, right? And they used it very loosely because you could play the game on both Xbox and Windows. So if you have a PC, for the most part, every game you saw, you could probably play on your PC as well. They kept saying console exclusives, but I have a feeling a lot of those games are going to show up on Windows as well if they aren't already on there, like in terms of planning. So let's talk about what was originally Xbox Scorpio, but now is named Xbox One X, which I'm not a big fan of the name. However, it does abbreviate to Xbox. So we did get our pricing, we did get our date. The date is November 7th. I said November 10th. I hedged. I should have went with November 7th because it was a Tuesday. I was between Tuesday or Friday. November 7th or 10th. I went with 10th. This close to 7th. That's fine. November 7th, and it's going to be $4.99, the same price I think a lot of us figured. I was pretty much dead set on that for a while as well. $499 at basically $500, November 7th. The price, while some people see as high, it's been described as a premium console. I think at that point, because there are options, I don't mind the price because you don't have to buy it. It's not like how in 2013 when the Xbox One came out and it was $500, no choice. If you want an Xbox console, that's what you were buying. Now, though, you can either buy the $500 Xbox One X, or you can go buy the Xbox One S, which is $250. I just checked my Walmart like an hour ago when I went out. Or I think there's like a $200 E3 special going on for the Xbox One S. Either way, it's cheap right now. So really, if you don't want a 4K machine and you don't care, you just want to play some of these games, the Xbox One S is fine. All of these games have to work across all Xboxes, and that's where I think. At first, I thought about it and I said, well, Microsoft's making a mistake because they're kind of holding the Scorpio down, but with their mentality where they want it to be one large family of consoles and even generations at this point, which we'll get to in a minute, it makes sense. They have a cheap system for people who just don't want to spend that kind of money, but then they have a more expensive system for people who would buy the Xbox One S and say, this is great, but you know what, I would have spent more money for something that's able to do 4K gameplay. Well, guess what? You can buy that now. And I know a lot of people are screaming, build a gaming PC. And you know what? That works for certain people. I am in that mindset. I love building computers, and yes, I would say, you know what? If I had an $800 budget to work with, I would build a 4K-ish computer. I say ish because 4K is still kind of tough to get to with a computer with that kind of a budget, $800. You could still manage it with about $1,000 pretty easily, but I would be much more into building a computer. But I do look at that Xbox One S, or One X, I should say. I'm sorry. These names, right? One S, One X. It's. I wish they had gone with something a little different than One X. Anyway, you get into the One X and you realize at $500 for somebody who does not want to build a computer, that's pretty good. I mean, really consider it. It's going to be a 4K machine. It's a 4K Blu-ray player, which, by the way, is still pretty expensive outside of the Xbox, especially the One S being a $250 one is actually a really good price if you consider that. But the Xbox One X has an audience. It's not a big audience. That's why a lot of people you see online are trying to figure out who it's for. It's because it's not for you. If you're okay with building your own computer, right? If you're not into any of the Xbox games like Halo or Forza, you're more into PlayStation, it's just not targeted toward you. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not. They have their market set. The power user on the Xbox side who's going to play the Madden, who's going to play the Forza, who's going to play the Halos. Maybe they want Call of Duty. They're not buying, these people are not the ones out there buying JRPGs, for example, right? They're not. So Microsoft has their audience locked down, and now they're looking towards their Windows side by making things play anywhere. And it's really odd that people are complaining about convenience, essentially, because you're not locked into any one console. You can get a PC or you can get an Xbox, and you can still enjoy mostly the same games. It's very weird that people are complaining about convenience right now. Realistically, though, it's a game console. If you like the games that are on there, you don't want to go through what some people find a headache. I find it enjoyable of building a computer. You can just get the Xbox One S or One X and have a pretty good experience. We did see some games that are mostly first-party titles for them. Crackdown 3 was there. Looked kind of downgraded to me because they don't have the destructible environments that we saw. Maybe they'll show more. They're doing like a Treehouse presentation later on today, on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to basically be run, I assume, right up to the Sony press conference. Just maybe take some steam off of that. I don't know. But they did talk about showing that more. Maybe we see it there. It does not look like it's going to be cloud-based anymore. Remember how they're going to use cloud-based processing to render and process all of the crazy physics that were going to happen where the buildings were going to fall down? Does not appear to be happening. Overall, it looks like Crackdown. I like that they used Terry Crews. I thought that was funny. I don't know. It was something different, but I don't know if Crackdown 3 is going to push systems like they are expecting it to. But if you like Crackdown, I like the first one. Didn't like the second one as much. I like the first one a lot. I will check out Crackdown 3 anyway, just because it'll probably be fun. Forza 7 was also there. So we have Crackdown 3 releasing in November 7th. And then before that, we have Forza 7 October 3rd. If you're a Forza fan, you probably loved this trailer. Like, this was it. They showed gameplay where the cars looked as realistic as possible. I don't know how it can look any better than that. That looked like real life at times, and I'm sure they'll keep obviously working on it, but we're up to the 7th iteration of this game, so if you don't like Forza yet, I don't think you're going to like it now, but if you're a Forza fan and you have the full steering wheel set and everything, you're probably buying the Xbox One X. If you're that into it, let's be honest, and you probably loved it. It looked like Forza, it looked like a racing game. They brought a full Porsche out on the stage to show off, and it's a car most of us will probably never be able to afford, but I think the idea is they wanted to show us that, hey, maybe you can't afford it here, but you can get it in the game and race it around in what is probably the most realistic simulator out there now. And then they hit us with a pretty big announcement, something that I have been talking about for quite a while, and that is to bring all generations of the Xbox to one system, and they did announce it, original Xbox compatibility.
Today, I'm pleased to announce an exciting expansion to the program.
I think that's a bigger deal than a lot of people realize. Yes, I understand there weren't a ton of Xbox One games that were, I'm saying Xbox One, Xbox original games. They're messing me up with this naming, right? There weren't a ton of Xbox original games that were like, wow, I need to own this, other than Halo, which has been redone several times now for the 360, the Xbox One now. You can get the Master Chief Collection, well, as broken as that is, and then play through those games. But there were some good games that still are kind of left behind. I hope that they do make something like Knights of the Old Republic completely compatible with the Xbox One X, One S. I do think that game, because you have to go through so much in Windows to get that thing working correctly, they updated it, still kind of weird. If they made that fully compatible, that'd be great. Jade Empire, there's a bunch of games left on the original Xbox that I think they could get some use out of. And again, this is their whole initiative to bring everything to one system. It's something that the other two systems against them right now, I include Switch in that because, let's face it, they're the big three companies. I know Nintendo is competing indirectly with them. Still, I count them. It's something neither of them can do. Sony and Nintendo cannot say you can play every iteration of Nintendo on here in physical media form. You can't do the same thing at all for the PS4. They have to stream it because the cell processor really messed them up there, really tripped them up. Whereas Microsoft realized we can have something different than the others. We can put everything into one box. So they did it. They showed the Xbox original logo pop up. People freaked out a little more than they probably should have, because I'm probably the only one that probably should have been as excited as I was for it, because I've been clamoring for that idea for a while because it makes good business sense for them. And it's just something they can push that the competition can't. Make yourself different. That's how you win or survive anyway. You know what? Good move by Microsoft. I think fans will like it, and I'm pretty happy to see that I can potentially pop my original Xbox game of choice into the Xbox One S and play it. But yeah, then they rapid fired games left and right, and they weren't all big games. In fact, almost all of them were like, you have your top tier A games, then you have like your B games. A lot of them were B games is how I would kind of classify them. But they were still games, right? Everyone was like, is Microsoft going to show up with games? They showed up with a lot of games. So yeah, they did. They showed up with over 40 of them actually. And maybe they didn't all appeal to you. I have a feeling most people are going to look at that and say, well, a couple of them did. That's because they showed so many. And now it kind of kicks back to Sony, because now Sony's up, right? They're up tonight. I want to see what Sony is going to do, because there has to be, I think, a very good response here. We already know some of their games showing up. Death Stranding won't be there. It wasn't going to come out this year anyway. I honestly, at this point, I'd be surprised if it makes it 2018. That might be a 2019 game. And we already know Kingdom Hearts now will not be there either. So we kind of look to things like their Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, making an appearance. Spider-Man looks awesome. I want to see more about Spider-Man. And then other new IPs that they will hopefully be announcing there. So there's a lot of stuff that Sony needs to now do that Microsoft really set the table here with a ton of games being announced. Listen, they're not all exclusives. I get that. Even in the traditional sense of exclusives, they're not that. But still, they're games you can play on the system. And yes, a good bit of them you can't play on the PlayStation. That's what really matters to Microsoft. You can't play on the PlayStation, you got to get an Xbox. You got to get a PC with Windows. They win either way, guys. And that's it for Newswave tonight, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check me out. We're going to be doing the Sony stream. Basically, any stream you've seen set up for the gaming, all the gaming stuff they're doing, I will be streaming and talking about. It'll be fun. stop by. We can watch it together. I'll talk commentary over it, except for the good parts, which make sure I'm quiet so you guys can hear it. But make sure you guys stop by for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Let me know what your thoughts are on this Microsoft E3 conference. I know some people weren't happy with it. Some people were. It was interesting to see go back and forth. The term exclusive is definitely being used very loosely, like I said before, with Microsoft. But you know what? They're bringing games over to the Xbox. That's all people have asked for, so they're doing something, right? And I like the original Xbox being added for backwards compatibility. It's a nice touch. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.